How are you, folks? The Enzo Di Costanzo podcast. And actually, this video is for the St. Peter's group in the spring of 2023. Today's the January 18th. So we're starting the spring semester today. And this is the intro video that I've been referring to in a couple of the other videos. So there's about 3 weeks worth of lectures up already. And folks, I just want to tell you, I appreciate your, because I sent out an email and I didn't hear any negatives about doing a lot of the course online. My mom is up there in years. She's almost 100, and she had a serious surgery about a year ago. And some of you were with me in my class when that happened. And these doctors they say this and they say that. It's over a year now, and she's basically fine. But still, when you're a century old, things take time. So I appreciate your patience with that. I was up all night last night, helping her out. So it would have been really tough to come in there. It's about 10 o'clock right now. It would have been really tough to come in there and be, what I should be for, whatever, however, 6 hours or whatever it is, 6-7 hours in there with you guys today. So I appreciate the leeway on this, and I'll remember that when it's time for grades and all that stuff. And I appreciate everybody seeming to be on board with that. There's a lot of names that I recognize from the past, and actually, as we're talking here, let's just get the Blackboard and see, let's make sure let's make sure the classes that we're all talking about the appropriate classes right now. It's the 2 102s, that 411, the 401, the corporate finance, all that stuff. So it's all these classes, right? So my spring schedule is the 10203, 10204, 41101, 40102, and this 302, this econometrics section, which is, I think that's the 10 o'clock section on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. So yeah, so this is the Blackboard site. And actually, here, let's get to here. I'll just use a 302 with those. And actually, just a note to the 302 group, because there's only about 8 or 9 of you in there. So that course might wholly meet online. I mean, we'll meet I said to you guys, today is January 18th. I said the 23rd, which is Monday, I'll be in. We'll be in full day, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and briefly with the 10 o'clock group. Then I got to go home, and then 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock I'll be back for the 1 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon section. But this is what the website looks like, and there were a bunch of announcements up here already. Everybody's are the same up to now. All the sections are pretty much the same. We changed this. It was going to be Monday the 30th, but then something came up, so we'll meet this 1 week. We'll meet on the Wednesday. But all of these days are online, and this is 1, 2, 3. So these 5 days of January are covered online. Here, you have 3 weeks worth of lecture here. So you have whatever that is, 15, right? You have 15 lectures here, or yeah, right? Because not 15 lectures, but 15 because the classes are 50 minutes. This is 61, 74. Some of them are a little bit longer, but I usually add up where we are with this stuff, and actually we'll just run to it right now real quick. Yeah, so there's 8 videos out, which is about 7.5 hours, which is about 3 weeks. So I always add it up here, myself. See, here's money 1, money 2. So yeah, so for the finance folks, the 411 and the 401, this is sort of exactly what the syllabus talks about, the time value of money. For the 102, I'm giving you guys a little preview into a valuable topic in the future. If you walk down to Princeton and you talk to those professors down there, they'll all say that corporate finance is microeconomics. Okay, so never be concerned about that, or why are we doing finance and it's in economics? I'm just picking these particular problems. Actually, there's a really good one at the bottom here. The Bill Gates one. See, it says Bill Gates, William Gates the third, but Bill Gates, or the Microsoft Bill Gates, is one of the world's richest people. His wealth in 2013 is reputed to be about 67 billion. That was the version of the book at the time. We did a problem in class, in the videos. We did a problem where his wealth, let's see, this, I think one was 67. Where is it? This was 79 billion, not million, billion. This is 79. I'm not going to do this today, but this one is higher. 67. Mortgages. Yeah, one was 79, one was 67, and then so it was 67, 79, and then there was another one. So yeah, the 2015 was a little bit higher one. I looked it up. It's like 100 billion now. So he's doing really well, and getting divorced on top of it. And also, I found an article in the Wall Street Journal that it's him in '05, what he thought the future would look like in 2005. I think it's very instructive, 18 years later, to take a look at that today. That'll be and actually, usually, and people remember this sometimes, we did a lot of sort of smaller assignments, but this semester, just due to the way things have sort of worked out, we're going to have March 1st is the midterm exam is due, and it's not going to be a sit down exam. It's going to be like an Excel problem, and that particular problem most likely will be this, and you've got to develop this whole. I'm showing you how to do it, but you have to develop this whole table here, all of this stuff. It's the example we worked on last time, and actually, the reason we're going to quickly finish out the whatever the last video was at 8 or 9 or something like that. What was the last one? The last one was 8. Or whatever time value of money 8. We sort of stopped before the end of this, and we'll pick that up today. Is what we'll do. But yeah, so that'll be the midterm problem. It'll be substantial. You have to make a PDF out of it here. We'll get to the textbook in a second. You have to make a PDF out of it and all that. So, but we'll get to all of that. Yeah. So you're here. It's actually what you have to do for the exam or for the midterm is this. You have to make this table, and this is in your best interest. So this is using nominal rates, and we'll get to this. So basically, what this problem is he's worth 79 billion. How is he going to spend it over 30 years? And I think we've discussed this again. Other videos we've discussed. We said, okay, well, we'll just take 79 billion and divide it by 30 years, and that's what he's going to spend. But here's the thing, though. By you doing that maneuver, you're spending less than you could. You're actually spending half of what you could otherwise be spending, because you take a whatever 5% or 4% of 1/30th of 79 billion. The other 29/30ths are working, earning interest, and you didn't account for that by just dividing by 30 years. So we show you sort of the next way of looking at that. Then we also include an inflation effect. So we do a lot of things with this one problem. So I said to myself, hey, this will be a good midterm exam problem, and then there'll be a final exam problem based on the macro economy. But all the things, all the lectures that we go through, it all builds into doing this. And folks, I'm telling you. And again, I have a very specific skill. I've had a very specific job for, the last decade or so. I have experience, and some of you might know this. I was at Rutgers for 10 years. That was a very unique experience where I learned a hell of a lot in the 10 years that I was there. I worked with Value Line in New York. I was an analyst. I know all sorts of, how to look at companies and do fundamental analysis and do statistical analysis. And so I have a varied background, but I have the background I have because that's what I want. I'm saying I want to know a lot of stuff. That's the goal. It's you have to want to do this. You have to want to learn this stuff. But again, I equate putting in the work to a payoff kind of a thing, where I have outside of St. Peter's, I do a consulting. I have a consulting situation that's very lucrative, and I'm able to say, hey, if I learn a lot of stuff, it pays off, right? That's how I look at things. Okay, so hopefully you can look at things the same way. But like I said, so we're going to have very Excel based problems here. There's a lot of announcements here. There's definitions in here. There's all the lectures. So like I said, this is about 3 weeks worth of lecture. Watch the introductory video first, and then pace yourself. Watch one of these a day, or maybe every 2 days watch a video or something like that. That's how I would approach. But like I said, so I'm looking at the calendar here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 class days in January. We're going to meet on the 23rd, and that's it. That's the only live day in January. Then we'll meet the 1st of February, which is almost like January. But I'm going to rely on you guys to work on your own. And folks, let me tell you, and I'm not trying to be terrible by saying this, College is not sitting there surfing the internet while I'm explaining economics or explaining accounting or explaining finance or something like that. College is actively doing things. Okay, so you have to read the textbook and watch the lectures. And what you have to do is, and this is you're going to have like a blank, not blank, but I'm filling this in as I'm going along, but there's a template that's posted to Blackboard. You should download that Excel to your hard drive and then rename it something, your version of the Excel or whatever. See, this is Video Spring Spreadsheet 2023. You should, your first name spreadsheet, and then that could be your experimental sheet. But every time I upload a new template, see, it says TVM, time value of money. You should keep that, pristine without altering it, and have a second copy of this where you're trying things out. But you need to go through and enter the 6%, the 30, enter the formulas, how we got the formulas and things of that nature. You have to do all that. Okay, just looking at it or listening to me or just coming to class and surfing the internet. That's not college. Okay, it's just not. Okay, and I know there's a lot of hardworking people from last semester and last year that are with me, which is fine. I know there's a lot of new people, but I'm telling you, you have to work hard and understand what's going on, and you can't copy. We had a situation last semester where people wanted to test me and unfortunately came out on the wrong end of that. Okay, so we don't want that for you guys, and believe me, immoral, unethical, dishonest stuff is not what we're about. Okay, so all I can tell you is how I teach. I teach you to be ethical, moral, all those things, hardworking, the good immigrant, the good immigrant characteristics, like my father, who came from Italy, and you guys know this, came to this country, didn't speak English. And folks, let me tell you something. I have a guy in one of my classes who not one of my classes, a guy who works, he's worked on my house, and I may have mentioned, he's a buddy of mine. He's a Honduran guy, really a nice man, a really nice man. And but he's got this chip on his shoulder. He says, "Oh, we're Hispanic immigrants, and the country doesn't want us." But he has all these sort of hangups about being an immigrant and all these other things. Folks, let me tell you something: the Italians, the Irish, the German, all of these folks came to this country at one point, were immigrants. There was a time where an Irish Catholic president was unthinkable until John F. Kennedy did it. And obviously the guy who named the streets named after the street. You should know who John F. Kennedy is. The first Irish Catholic priest, Irish Catholic president in this country ever. He was assassinated in the 60s for, not because he was Irish Catholic, but for his policy, most likely. But, those were the unwanted. And believe me, being Italian was not the suave thing it is today, a long time ago. The Italians were, hey, these Italians are moving in, kind of. That was sort of the attitude, 100 years ago, and on and on and on. And it's the Latin American immigrants are just the latest, iteration of that, or the latest version of that coming across the ocean or coming across the border. So, we're all in the same boat here. Okay. So no one's monopolized being, judged or whatever it might be. No one's monopolized that, but he's just, I told him, I said to the guy, hey, he says, the Irish, they weren't appreciated. The Germans weren't appreciated. The Italians were. He goes, really? I said, yeah. I said, that's the way it was. So he was kind of surprised at that, but we all go through a learning cycle, a growing process. We all go through that. Excuse me. We all go through that. So don't never be to work hard, good ethics, morals. People can trust you. Warren Buffett said, and actually talking about Warren Buffett, we have a couple of videos down here. In addition to the lectures, we have the Warren Buffett Charlie Rose video or interview. Warren Buffett is like one of the richest guys. He used to be the richest guy, but then Bezos and Gates, I say beat him. Believe me, don't feel bad for Warren Buffett. He's worth about $100 billion too. Bezos is worth more, and the Mexican telecommunications guy is worth a lot. But there's a Warren Buffett video here. Steve Cohen. These are frontline documentaries. This is about the financial crisis. This is about the Stephen A. Cohen hedge fund and that game. And we're giving you these for a variety of reasons, especially this one. Folks, you can't just do anything in business. Oh, I'm in business. I work for a hedge fund. I work for Bank of America. The rules don't apply to me. You can't really do that. Okay. And this guy, not that he intended, I don't know what his intentions were, but certainly people broke the rules. The Securities and Exchange Commission, the regulation, those, some of those are federal, frauds and wire fraud, and that's how, tax evasion. That's how it all of a sudden becomes a criminal issue, not just a regulatory issue, a criminal issue. And you got to be aware of that. And especially if you work like I work, where I work for, it's like a cutout of a big firm. I don't directly, the big firm doesn't matter, but it's a very big bank. A cutout is an entity where we take all the legal liability, we take the financial liability, we take all the risk ourselves and doing the deals that we do, so it doesn't spill over. And it's not Bank of America. Let's say if we were cut out of all the big places, Bank of America has it, Goldman Sachs has it, all the big firms have cutouts, and we're a cutout of a big firm. It's a Midwestern money manager. But and especially my thing, I have to have my head screwed on twice as tight. But I have, I've legal studies degree, I have MBA, I have all sorts of stuff that guides me or encourages me in sort of the dead of night in terms of what I do. We worked for a guy before I came to St. Peter's. The guy was the president of the firm that I work for now. He wasn't a college educated guy. His values were very slippery, and he found himself in trouble and got out of it because he was sort of with us in a sense where he could take big risks, and there'd be some deep pocketed benefactor that would sort of bail us out, so to speak. But it wasn't the best situation. And when you have slippery values and slippery morals and slippery ethics, okay, it's not a very good thing. So all of these things sort of help you focus on that. Buffett is, again, I read his biography, but the biography that I read about him, it's the the Making of an American Capitalist. That was written in the 90s. Making of. We didn't get to read it a couple years ago. We read the Long-Term Capital. We read the Long-Term Capital story, or the testament of what happened. Long-Term Capital was a hedge fund that was very math based. There it is. It's the Making of American. I forget if that's. I think it's this cover. I think that's the cover that I have. But this is a good read. I think some of you already read this from last semester. A couple of you guys may have read this from last semester. Or Walmart sells it. You get it. You're probably not going to walk in there and have, but it's good. It's $10 for 10. Lowenstein. He was Lowenstein was a Wall Street Journal reporter, and he wrote a bunch of good books. Let me tell you something. If you really want to understand business, go to his website. And he's Cornell. Yeah, here it is. He's Cornell educated. He's on a board of a money manager. He wrote for the Wall Street Journal for a long time. Here, he's got about Sear, Buffett. We read this a couple semesters ago. This is the dot-com crash. This is about the pension fiasco that's coming. This is the culture on Wall Street. This is about central banking. This is about financing the Civil War, I think is what this one's about. So there's 1, 2, 3, 7. Okay, he's got 7. He had 6 for the longest time. Now he's got a 7th one. But though, if you read one of these a year for the next 7 years, you'll know everything you need to know about business and Wall Street and making money and all that kind of thing. But like I said, watch some of these documentaries. Okay, they're here. They're posted for you guys. There's a bunch of lectures here. There's 3 weeks worth of lectures. So, and again, but the course has got to be you working. Okay, it's not just listening to me in class, or I'm sitting there and I'm searching the internet and I'm not really paying attention. I'm listening to music in class, and that's all madness. You shouldn't be doing things like that. Okay. So the announcements are there. This under syllabus and schedule. We put all in just one folder. Here's the textbook. The syllabus is here. Don't worry about the syllabus so much. And here's the template. I'm saying I'm not going to click on it because it's just this. The template is just, I'm saying this is filled in. And you have to use the arrow keys, right? See, you arrow left and right, control home. Okay, so all the notes are here. I didn't give you PowerPoint. We didn't do any of that nonsense. Okay, we didn't give you PowerPoints. This was the Manhattan Island. If Manhattan Island was bought for $24, what would it be worth today? So I think it was like 15 trillion or 30 trillion or some crazy number like that. Okay, or whatever it was. What the number come out to be down here, I think it was a little bit more reasonable number. Yeah, this thing came out. It earned some interest, and whatever this was came out to like 19 or 20 million or something like that. Okay, it came out to a little more of a reasonable number. depending on your discount rate. We're going to talk about discount rate in the courses. Believe me, 8% and 3% don't sound like that big of a difference. But if you're modeling out and expanding at 8% versus 3%, your 8% gets to these obscene numbers, trillions or whatever it is. If you expanded 3.5%, you're hitting about 20, only about 20 million or so. Okay, so what would that $24 have been worth? That's really what this is telling you. What would that $24 have been worth today? And again, this is all explained in the other videos. Again, I was posting those videos. This is the microchip problem, and we go through some of the very heavy duty math here from my Rutgers days. You know, we teach this stuff at Rutgers. How small can a transistor be? This stuff is in there. Okay, but you can look this up. Okay, I think there's an article. Yeah, Intel's journey from 100 billion to a trillion transistors, and I think actually we may have worked out. Did I work at the 1 trillion version? Yeah, I did it. Yeah, to 100 billion. Yeah, so I extended this. So we had this problem in 2010. We had this problem in 2015. We have this problem today, and we sort of compared what's really on a chip and what the prediction was. The prediction was 17 billion or whatever it was, some crazy number, 38 trillion, and the real number is about 100 billion or so or something like that. So the model took off on how many of these switches you could put on a microchip. I used to work in that area when I was at Rutgers. So I have some. We'll show you how to make a graph. I used to work in that area at Rutgers. I worked in the physics department, so I have some sense of it as we look at things. Well, like I said, so yeah, we're just fluttering around right now through the spreadsheet. But yeah, then there'll be more of this. I'll be filling more of this in as we go along. We're up to 3 weeks. Hopefully by the end of January, we'll be up to 5 or 6 weeks or something like that. And like I said, your focus should be. I'll post the assignment. The midterm assignment should be making that table. Okay, and figuring and don't just say, oh well, let me just run to the problem that he did in that corresponds to the example. Work out go step by step, atomically, piece by piece, present value of perpetuities, how to do all the present value of a future cash flow and things of that nature, but discount rates, how the discount rate influences, how the number of periods influence. I'm working on valuations right now, and that's a big part of what I'm doing. That I know the majority of the people that I work with don't really know how to do, and that makes me crazy valuable. Folks, 1 second. Sorry. We're back. Like Mike Francesca says, we're back, right? The sports talk radio guy. So anyhow, so you have a lot of this to work on, but in little pieces. You want to work on this in little pieces. Okay, so the textbook is here. I guess so you have to buy the textbook. This is chapter 5 in the textbook, whatever it is, 100, whatever page it is. Yeah, this is financial performance, which I've taught this in the past. All these chapters take time. So I focus on the 5th chapter. So let's work on the 5th chapter. Let's do as much of that as we can. And it's also the other part of the course. We're going to look at the Federal Open Market Committee notes, and we'll do a little macro analysis also. Even though the course is supposed to be micro, but we'll do a little macro, and we'll get to that in a second. But anyway, this is time value of money. Here's the chapter. Here's all the points, future payments, and interest rates, and all that kind of thing. Okay, and what I did was I took the problems in these chapters and just made Excel models out of them. There's no Excel. Oh, there's some Excel in here, but it's not how I do it. I do it the real way. I do the custom way, and not just using the formulas. And I really show you how to model. See, here's the Manhattan Island example, and you'll see that there are a few lines in the book. The Gordon Moore, it's whatever. This is 10 lines. Our model is very much longer. They don't go through the tables, so I've expanded dramatically what you can do with the textbook. And the spreadsheet is just what I showed you. The syllabus is here. There's no, there's no common work. I mean, you can talk to each other, but there's no group projects where you hand in the same thing. You can't do that. Okay. You can't do that. Yeah, this is the 10 o'clock group. These guys, we're probably not going to be meeting live at all this semester because I have to get home and take care of mom and get back for 1 o'clock. So it's just really, it makes it tighter that those couple hours in the day. This is the academic calendar. I put that up there for your convenience. My contact information, email, call anytime. Don't worry about that. It's fine with me. We had a little bit of a discussion about that in previous semesters about email contact or whatever, just it's fine. Just call. You pick however if you're gonna use email to talk to me, fine. You want to call me, which is fine. Whatever, however you want to look at it. I leave that up to you to determine that. That's up to you guys. We really avoid late assignments. Again, we're not going to have as many, but obviously the midterm one will be worth a lot. I mean, I say the midterm one. Midterm one is a few weeks away. It's 5-6 weeks away. It's due the first. And then after the 1st of March, you guys have the break, the spring break already. So focus on that. And again, everything we do builds towards that. And we'll get to the second part of the course. And again, these are just some courtesies in class. Don't come with pizza and don't carry on conversations in class, and try not to have your cell phone going off and things of that nature. Okay, always just have common courtesy towards the people, especially if you're working in a big like a bullpen, right? A big floor of offices, and it's all open. When I was at Value Line, it was a big open floor. We could all sort of see each other, and there'd be people making sports bets and putting their slamming stuff on the desks, and it's hard. We had like 80 analysts in there. It's hard to get everybody sort of courteous. And I said to myself, how can you work like this? So I appreciate the academic way of working. Learning outcomes, I'll let you get to that. Here's the grading scale. This is all old school stuff. You guys can get to this at your own pace, and don't be concerned about that. Okay, but the syllabus is here. Just make sure you're in the right courses. This is the 302 course. And again, I know this is econometrics, but we'll do some good material in here with you guys. And we'll try to hit some the regression stuff or whatever it might be, but this our time is well spent doing what we're working on today. Okay. Also, the last video that we spoke about, we were working on the we did values of annuities. We did that. We were working on the Bill Gates problem, and just to sort of review it for the class today, for the people who didn't get to this video. And again, this is a much bigger thing that we're looking at here. Okay, so no, I don't expect you on the first day to sort of be an expert at this, but this will give you sort of a look into sort of where we're going here. So this is the Bill Gates problem. Yeah, we had this. This is typed out somewhere for you guys. Yeah, this is typed out under the announcements. Yeah, here it is. It says Mr. Gates, one of the richest people in 2013. We know the current number is about 100 billion. So that'll be the midterm will be the current number. In 2013, he was reputed. You love the word reputed, right? That's who uses the word reputed. Organized crime and titans of industry use the word reputed, right? Reputed to be about 67 billion. And then he has the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and there's an like I said, there's an article that I picked up for you, and actually just very quickly, here it is, notes. This is the Wall Street Journal, and this came out about 15 years ago. Came out a long time ago. It says, in secret hideaways, Bill Gates ponders Microsoft's future. Folks, when you get to the level that I sort of work at, you're really thinking about, where's the future going? What are we doing? So he had a little reading list of trends. Now, again, this is about 20 years ago. And so some of the stuff that Bill Gates was thinking about: computer trends, education, language, mapping, video games, speech, security, office, how people work. And again, this is 2005. He was thinking about that. How powerful processors are. I remember in high school, you had one microprocessor per computer setup per tower. My tower has 6, and this computer's lasted about 10 years. Like, it's lasted a long time. Graphics chips, websites, and again, you think about 205 is about 10 years after the internet became sort of out there. I got my first cell phone in 2003. It's about 2003. My flip cell phone. Security. How we're teaching each other. I heard some. I'm not going to repeat them here, but I heard some statistics of in Newark and America, whatever, some of the different reading and math levels of students, and it made me. I asked somebody who works in the Newark public school system. I said, "Could that be true?" She goes, "Oh yeah." She goes, "That's pretty accurate." I said, "Really?" So, you got to be educated, and folks, I'm telling you, the divide in the world is people who can self-guide and people who can't. We're not in this society where it's a manufacturing and factories and you have a guy say, okay, boom, 8 o'clock, get to this. You've got to self guide your lives, your investments, your healthcare, your retirements, all that where you live. Dealing with your local governments, or all the things you got to deal with. You're dealing with that yourselves, and you got to be smart about it. So, keep educating. Every 10 years, you should be doing something. Like I said, Queens College for me was a couple years ago. Okay. NJT was a couple decades ago. Fordham was about this time when the Bill Gates thing came out here. But every 10 years, I'm doing something. So, you always want to keep the wheels turning. So anyway, these are some of the, now, I think what I didn't do it, we're not gonna do it right now, but going through these 8 areas and really just trying to figure out what are the strongest companies in computing trends and microprocessors and graphic processors and security and office software and speech recognition. And you heard during the unrest in 2020, the facial recognition software that was Microsoft's. And folks, let me tell you, when I was sort of in high school and college or whatever, one company did one thing. Was operating systems, IBM was the hardware, and Intel did the microprocessor, and IBM did the memory chips or whatever, and it did the keyboards and the monitors and whatever. Everybody sort of did one thing. But now, if you look at Microsoft's portfolio of acquired companies, it's a lot. They do a lot of developmental stuff. And my work on the acquisition team with the people I work with down in Florida is to do the analysis of potential acquisitions, and not just technology, but it's specifically to the banking area. So I have a very focused area or an industry that I work in, and I have very defined skills that help make that analysis useful to people. And I know just like with you guys, the people I work with find my analysis very useful. Just like you guys, the feedback I get from you guys and the feedback I get from the people I work with are pretty much the same thing. Okay, so because I listen to what you need, and I think that's people say, well, what's your big secret in there in terms of being successful across the board? Is just listening to people. If you're always talking, right, you're not going to really have, you're not going to be listening. It's hard to do both of those. So always just keep that in mind. But yeah, we'll get to this. This will be a part of the assignments. Okay, we stopped here. It says foundation. So instead of whatever, curing polio or something, with all due respect, if anybody has that out there, people in your family have that, with all due respect to that, sorry about that, but instead of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which is very philanthropic, and they try to put capital behind very good causes, that kind of a thing. He's just going to spend it on luxury and entertainment, kind of that sort of thing. And actually, I just noticed something, folks. I apologize for the phone. I'm not just let it tire itself out. Where I live in Essex County, there's a sewer line that's busted or something. So I'm sure something has something to do with that. Yeah, so anyway, instead of giving all of his money away, the question, or the problem is that he's going to spend it. So and again, like I said to you, his amount changed a bit from where the problem was, that kind of a thing. It's changed a bit from what's stated in the textbook, and we want to go through that, and like I said, in a lot of detail, and I'll just re-explain that problem, but also we're going to solve the see, there's two things. There's nominal interest rates, and there's real interest rates are inflation adjusted, and nominal rates aren't. Nominal rates, you're walking up and down Main Street in Queens, and some bank from China saying, "Oh, we'll give you 3% or whatever on you put your deposits with us," that kind of a thing, and they'll work it out that way. So that's really what that means. Then the nominal rate is what you sort of see in the window. So looking at this problem last time, we had the 79 billion version. There's a 67 billion version down here. This will be the next video. We'll do it again. We're going to work this problem out a second time, for you guys, nominal and real. So we'll work this out twice for you guys. So you can't sit there and say, oh, well, I don't understand or whatever. So we're going to work that out. But actually, we worked out the nominal version of this. So if you have 79 billion in the net worth, and you want to spend it over 30 years. And I think we've discussed, a way to do it is just divide by 30. But see, here's the difference though. Just doing that, third grade math or whatever it is, and you get, okay, well, I can spend 2.6 billion by dividing that amount of money by 30, and that's it. But the difference is, as you take a fraction of that 79 billion, the rest of it can work for the year, 2 years, 3, and some of it can work for a number of years. So you're not factoring that into this computation. So the actual number, taking out 1/30 of 80 billion dollars and letting the other 29/30 work, is you can spend 5.7 billion a year as opposed to only 2.6 by just factoring in that the majority of the capital is still going to be working for you. And again, 6% is a pretty good. I believe me, if you get 6% on anything, you should be happy about it. So it says a stream of cash flows, a payment at the end of the year for 30 years. So the conclusion is this. That's what we concluded. Now, as we worked again, the formulas and all this, it's this, right? Yeah, the factor, the annuity factor, which is this. It's this complicated equation and the square parenthesis. And again, we're going to discuss that, or it is discussed in those other 7 videos or 8 videos or whatever it might be. It's discussed in all that as you go along, folks. 1 second. Yeah, it's discussed in all these other lectures, the other 7 or 8 lectures, the predates this. But I'm just showing you sort of what you need to do by March 1st, kind of a thing. So you have 79 billion that you want to spend. You have an annuity factor here that's based on this complicated algebra that we'll discuss at some point. You have some inputs. You have a nominal interest rate. You have a number of years, and after you do all the algebra, you come to the conclusion of, or come to the answer of, you can spend 5.7 billion a year, Bill Gates, on what now? Try to spend never mind in a year, in a lifetime. Try to spend that. Never mind in a year, but anyhow. But that's what it potential. That's what the answer, the theoretical answer to this is. And then what we did was we inflation adjusted that number. So let's say the long run inflation is about 3%. So what you're going to do is you're going to, again, put these numbers, put the nominal rate, which is 6, inflation, which is 3. So it'd be 1 plus 6% divided by 1 plus 3% minus 1 is about 2.9% real interest rate. And then you're going to recompute that number having inflation impacted. So nominally you had 5.7, but when you have the inflation adjusted number, it's only about 4 billion, 3.98. Okay, that's the difference with that. And then again, here's your conclusion of real of 2015 dollars over 30 years. What that's going to look like. We developed this table. Again, this is explained. What I'm doing now, I'm just sort of going over it, but this is real. And also, we have to do the FMOC stuff too before we log off. I don't want to forget that. Federal Open Market Committee. Yeah. So this is just, I just typed in Federal Open Market Committee and got to the meeting and calendar page, which is here. And you can see there's 8 meetings a year. And we're going to go to we're going to use the December one because we have all the information right now. There's the press conference page, and this has everything. This has the meeting statement, the implementation note, projection materials, press conference transcript, the meeting minutes, and you can create PDFs out of all the stuff. And I'll come with a bunch of questions for the final exam that's based on there. There's the 2 things you got to do. You got to do a time value of money problem, and it sounds simple. Oh, just two things, but not really. You got to build up the whole way. Okay, you got to build up the whole way with this. Okay, so and you got to do everything in pieces. Okay, you got to do everything. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Anyhow, so here's the 79 billion, which is here. Okay, we determine the payments up here. We did the math up here to determine. So this is the nominal based on the 6% version of things. Okay, so in terms of interest earned, yeah, there's just 6. You reference 6%. So what you do is for the year, you're going to assume the payments happen, whatever, mid-year something. So you're looking at this from mid-year 2015 to mid-year 2016. It's still a year, right? June to June, still a year. So that 79 billion works a whole year, and it earns about 4 billion in interest, right? Because that's at 6% times a 4 billion, or times it's 79 billion, gives you 4. You're going to make a payment at the end of the year that you computed is 5.7 billion. So what you'll have left is you'll add 4 billion, subtract out 5.7 billion, and you're left with about 7. So and you're netting out about 1. So it's only a billion less as opposed to 5 or 6 billion less or 4 billion less. You just do the math and see. This is just using Excel. So I took 79 minus the payment and then added the interest earned. That's it. And then this is the balance is just equal to that. So banks work like this. So I go through this particular model because, again, I just said to you guys, I'm a banking acquisition specialist. That's what I do. So we went through all that. So like I said, this is explained. This will be explained in detail in another video coming. We already have a video on this, but I'm sort of going through how we do all this. So now the start of the next cycle, you take the previous balance and see how this is just equal AO 382. You got to understand columns and rows, row 383 or 82, column AO, all that stuff. You got to understand all that stuff. And then you have the payments are all the same. So you have 30 payments here. The total about 172 billion, right? You have about 30 payments. The total that I added those. I don't know the usefulness to doing that because it's added across 30 different years. But the nominal version of the payments is about 172. So you might look at that and say, wait, I only have 79, but the money's worth. A lot of the capital is working for all these years. That's why this is more. Okay. And that the interest, you have the interest formula again. The interest is now what's left. The balance is 78 billion, right? Times that 6% again. Okay, but again, it's all right. See this anchor, this little dollar sign. You anchor that row, so as you copy and paste, it still refers to row. Excuse me, 340, folks. I've been sick for about 2 months. I went to New York in November. God knows if I caught COVID. I hope not. I don't think I did, but because I was with the doctor and he wasn't concerned about it. But I was for 2 months. I've had a cough and I don't know. Anyhow. But so that's the latest balance here. The start of the period balance times your 6%. It's another interest amount, and also you have a payment. So once again, the same formula. You take your initial balance, add your interest, and subtract out your payment. And now you're down to 76.9 billion, which is your end of year. And then you do it again. And you do that 30 times. Okay, you do that 30 times. And I'm saying with the formulas, and again, the video will show you how to do it. You just copy and paste the formulas as you go through. So you have to get a little bit of comfort with this. So to try to do the first part of this course without Excel, I mean, you can do this with pencil and paper. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can, I suppose. There's people at Value Line that want you to do it with pencil and paper. I guarantee that some of the people I worked with thought that way. Anyhow, so this was the nominal version of this. And the idea is after 30 years, you're supposed to use up all the money. So the way you know you're right is you end up with 0. That's how you know you're right. Okay, so we're going to do this table once again, and here's the story though. Here's what's going on. You're going to take, you're going to put the years in, right? The mid-year. I'm just adding 1 to the previous number, so I just take, whatever is AJ 428 plus 1. So I'm just going to take this all the way down like that. So that gives you my 30 payments that happen mid-year, a year from my reference point. From T0 is now. T0 is today. Okay, so there's no payment. I mean, you can do it with an upfront payment. We're not choosing to do it that way. So the new payments using the real rates, it's not that 5 anymore. It's this 3. Okay, it's the 3.985. See, so I just referred to it. That's all I did. I just referred to it like that. That just referred, right? That 4 billion that we're going to be spending, the inflation, and then what we'll do is we'll say equal the top number. Clear out I'm just clearing out the fill. See, it says no fill. And then what we'll do, you click on that and you go all the way down to 30, say Control D. And there you go. So now you have 30 payments and you've counted them. You can look at them. Okay. So that's what Excel lets you, that's your first step is that. Now this is using real rates, the inflation adjusted. And the idea is we're still supposed to end up with nothing. Okay. That's the idea. And you can copy this. You can see it's a little bit of a different number, right? It's only 119 billion as opposed to 172. Now you start with the same number. You start with 79, right? You start with 79 billion. Okay, you start with that. This, I just want to see how I did it here. Yeah. We're just going to, for the time being, we're going to refer to that number because there's no, the year-end balance will be a different number. So we're just going to refer to our starting number again right there. So, at the end of the year, what this means, this 79 billion is what you're going to take the interest from. And actually up here, nothing happens in that line. This line, you'll take that balance times your real rate, which we computed up here, which was the 2.9. Okay, so for the 360 there, you put the dollar sign in, the column, you'll lock your column, and there you go. Okay, so interest earned should be about 2.3, 2.3 billion is interest earned. That's just 2.9% or 3% of 79 billion. So then what's left? Well, you started with 79, you added interest payments, and then you subtracted out your predetermined payment to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now you, instead of 79 billion, you have 77, and you just equate this to that. So after 12 months in, from 79, you're down to 77, but you've still spent 4 billion. So you're not down to 75. You're up to, because the money earned. You have the interest earned for the year. Now you're going to get to the sort of the programming issues. So the start of the next period is the previous balance. Okay, and you can do that the whole way down, even though these are all zeros. But that's you're going to refer to this column every time. And again, interest earned. How are we doing this? You're taking that number, right, times that rate. Now, what we'll do is we'll copy this formula. We'll come down here. We'll go to paste formula only, and get rid of the fill. And what you're seeing is you're referring to your starter period balance times 2.9%, which is there, gives you 2.2 billion. And this for the remaining balance, it's the same. This is the same formula that we just worked on. Right, copy Alt H V formula. It's this. It's going to be the balance plus the interest minus the payment. And this also is just this Alt H V formula, Alt HH, and you get rid of your fill. And notice here, the start of the third period is already referring to your previous balance. Folks, this is banking. Now, once you've gotten to this point and you've done enough of these, all you do is highlight all of these. Go just Control D. Oh, and surprise, surprise. You ended up with 0. How about that? See how so in the wink of an eye, right? You filled out. I mean, you could go line by line if you want, but see how he did all this, and it makes sense to you. And again, so good use of the anchors. Anchoring means you're going to refer to this, all the copying pasting. You're going to keep referring to row 360. That's what that means. And you're going to maintain your column, that initial balance column. For your interest payments. Okay, this is using real rates, and you still got to a 0 amount, even though some of the numbers are a little bit different. But you still got to that. So I left that out of the last video, whatever video that was. That was 8, right? So this is just a continuation of 8 a little bit. But in the 9th one that I'll probably make on Friday, we'll do this again for whatever, the 2013 one, the 67 billion version. So you'll have 2 versions, and then the final exam, the midterm exam version, which you're not sitting for the exam, you're doing it at home and just posting it online. That'll be like the 100 billion or whatever his, but we use 100 billion. But that 104, 104, 107. I looked at what it was, and we'll have some questions about the articles, and we'll make it a little bit of a project. But you basically have there's 2 things you got to do for your grade this semester, because again, I'm taking care of mom and I got my consulting work to do, so I got a lot of stuff I got to deal with. So I'm going to save this, and before we close for today, we're just going to run to the Fed page. And again, there's a couple of you who've worked with me in the past, and you're familiar with this. These are, see what says press conference transcripts, meeting statement. Here, you can even click on meeting statement here. One second. Yeah, we should have downloaded that. I don't know why we didn't download that. Projection materials. We can look. Yeah, we'll look at HTML. But you could make a PDF out of this, and they talk about the raised rates and the reasons and all that. So we're going to go through all of this, and you'll have a bunch of questions. You'll have some other Excel stuff to do. But I've taught this numerous times over the years. Again, there's, like I said, there's a few of you sitting out there who've taken classes with me in the past, and you're familiar with what I'm doing here. These are the meeting minutes, and they go through developments in the financial markets. They go through staff review of economic situations. They go through review of the financial situation, staff economic outlook, participants' view on current conditions and economic outlook, the policy maneuver. This is like 20. This is all the HTML, but this, the policy committee actions right there. It's about 20 pages or so. Then you have the transcript. So you'll be reading all. So if you want to get a little bit of and again, the people who've worked with me in the past know this, this is about an hour, watch the video, watch the press conference, look over the transcript. This has a bunch of questions like from the press. They ask the guy questions, and the implementation notes, some of the projection materials. And you have some sense of what unemployment will look like, what GDP will look like, what inflation will look like, and especially in banking, that's an interest rate sensitive issue industry. That matters a lot. Okay, that matters a lot. So, okay, folks. Again, I hope this was a good introduction for everybody. So yeah, I think we hit all the points we wanted to hit. Again, live on Blackboard. There's emails. If you all these notes, you should look at you should find your email, right? And it's all over in here. It's all over the place in here. Where is it? There, see these things? All the different classes. You should be checking out your emails, whatever, 102 or whatever it might be. Okay. So you go to the email and it gives you the announcement. It's the same as what's up, but it gives you an updated version. So these will be updated a lot over the semester. So just keep that in mind. Okay. All right, folks. Thank you so much. Hello.